surface water plant was constructed in 1964. And it's amazing that it's lasted this long. Painting on the walls, the floors, a lot of the mechanical components, pumps, a lot of the chemical practices that we're using, everything's still original. They've been in service for so long, parts for them are becoming obsolete, or people to work on them, you just can't find them to where it needs to be re-engineered and constructed.
The groundwater plant was constructed in 1972.
Everything but our actuators, which are valves that open up the high service pumps when they kick on, everything but those are original over there. They include everything outside, inside the building, and our well field. You know, all the high service pumps are from the 70s. The filter gallery and the piping over there is all original. There's leaks and holes in the bottom of our drain pipes over there to where the only thing that's holding them together is paint. We've had them rewelded numerous times, and it's too many Band-Aids have been put on, and it's to the point now to where we have to make a move and start getting things repaired.
The original plant was in 1954. We currently still have several of those tanks from 1954. We still use them. The next expansion or the next project was in 1970, and that is when the pure oxygen activated sludge system was installed, and we were the very first municipal plant to incorporate that type of technology. We use the same system to this day, but we've had to upgrade it and keep it up in order to maintain the efficiency of it. Then in 1990, regulations required that we start meeting an ammonia limit. Well, we couldn't treat ammonia with our current process, so that's why we had to build those nitrification towers. In 2000, our system had gotten antiquated to the point where we needed to upgrade our solids handling processes. As regulations evolve, so do the treatment plants have to evolve, and so they have to upgrade and install processes that can meet those limits. Most upgrades are regulation driven.
So regulations are always changing and typically getting more strict and more stringent. You have different requirements in terms of what particulate sewer, what we can put in the effluent that leaves the plant. And then you also have more regulations in terms of what's required of certifications at both of the plants and who needs to be on staff and how often does it need to be staffed. Those requirements just get greater and greater.
The next one that is being proposed is what they call total nitrogen, and we do not have the facilities in place to meet a total nitrogen limit. The town has what they call a NPDES permit. That's a National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System permit. That permit spells out what effluent limits you have to meet. The permit is a 5-year permit. Our permit is up 2022. We anticipate that when we apply for our new permit, that there will be a total nitrogen monitoring requirement, which means that we'll just have to test for it to see what levels of total nitrogen we have in our wastewater. 5 years from there is when our permit would expire again. That would be 2027. At that time, we anticipate that there will be a total nitrogen limit. Then the town will have to decide how they're going to fund a capital improvement project in order to meet that total nitrogen. It's going to be a pretty extensive process in order to meet that.
We have a staff of 10, so we have bodies. It's just getting these guys enough time here, because you have to work at a surface water plant for 3 years to be eligible to go test with the state. When this place is online, we have to have somebody here with a WT5 license. They have to be here 24/7. The biggest mandate right now that we're going to be up against here in the very near future and that we're not compliant with is the lead and copper rule. Speedway has a lot of lead. So that's going to be a game changer for the capital improvements in the distribution system, because we're not prepared for it.
If your equipment doesn't work, then your process won't work. And if your process doesn't work, you're not going to meet your limits. And then we're not going to meet our permit requirements. And that's the bottom line. We've got to meet those in order to not get any enforcement action from IDEM. They can fine you up to $25,000 a day.
We're constantly having to shut the plant down because we have concrete that's dropping into our basin and not allowing our sludge to drain because we're getting hung up on concrete chunks. Our high service pumps over there at the groundwater plant need updated, and it would help us if we did get them updated, because oftentimes they just won't simply turn on. They're either locked up or the bearings are warped and we can't get parts for them. It's cost us more to keep them online than would it be just to replace and maintain.
We look at the efficiency of the equipment we have. So there's pumps that are really old, using a lot more energy, and there's something that we can do to replace those for something that's a lot more efficient. We'll put those in. But in general, just trying to make everything last as long as it can. Squeezing every last bit of life out of every piece of equipment, whether it's a pump or a truck or whatever it is, just to try to operate it as efficiently as we can. But at the end of the day, costs have gone up, and we have to look at making an adjustment to rates just to make sure we're making those capital investment projects happen at all of our plants. So from that point, you kind of have two options. I mean, one is you can try to do nothing and pretend that it's not happening. That's going to lead to higher operating costs. It's going to lead to larger investments down the road because things break and break other things. Not to mention, of course, some potential public health concerns, obviously. Or you can look at it and realize, okay, we need to have a strategic plan going forward.
We've got a lot of pretty antiquated equipment, so we really need to get this upgraded. We're experiencing more issues sometimes when equipment goes down. It can affect other processes to the point where it takes a while to get back to normal operation. By upgrading this equipment, we're going to decrease our maintenance costs because we're having to continuously repair some of these pumps and motors. So we're going to decrease our maintenance costs, and they're also more energy efficient.
We don't want to end up like other communities to where they've let things go for so long, they're either going to have to sell or they have to do a big rate increase to make sure these things can happen. Because right now we can't budget for it, it's over our head. With the minor adjustments that we're doing now without our capital improvement wish list, we're already seeing positive feedback from the residents with the phone calls that we're receiving. With the improvements that we're wanting to do with our chemicals to improve our water quality and capitalize on that, I think it's going to put us well above the expectations of our community with how they would like to see our water quality.
Water's a vital function. Everybody needs it, and it's kind of helpful that we have control over that resource in the town.